Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing amazing today. In this video, we're diving into the latest updates about Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos. You don't want to miss this. So make sure to stay tuned till the end and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. The studio lights felt colder than usual that morning. Kelly Ripa stood backstage, clutching the small silver locket Mark had given her years ago, the one engraved with the simple words, "Always us." Her fingers trembled around it. Not because the studio was cold, but because her heart was breaking in a way she had never imagined possible. Today was the day she had to say goodbye. Not to the show. Not to the audience. Not to the life she had built for decades. Today, she had to say goodbye to the person who had been beside her through every triumph and every heartbreak, Mark Consuelos. The world knew them as a dazzling, inseparable couple. Hollywood's favorite love story. The unstoppable duo whose chemistry could light up any room. But no one knew what was happening behind the cameras, until now. The morning of the farewell, Kelly woke long before the alarm rang. Dawn seeped gently through the curtains, casting a quiet glow across the bedroom she had shared with Mark for so many years. She watched him sleep for a moment, peaceful, calm, unaware that she had already shed tears before the sun even rose. She reached over, brushing his hair softly with her fingers. Mark stirred. "You okay?" His voice was soft, heavy with sleep. Kelly nodded, even though she wasn't okay. "Yeah, just thinking." He knew her too well. He pulled her closer, wrapping her in that familiar warmth that always made her feel safe. "Today's going to be tough," he whispered. She swallowed hard. "I know." There were no more words after that. None were needed. They had said everything in the months leading up to this moment. The decision, the sacrifice, the reasons they couldn't avoid anymore. Their lives were pulling them in different directions. Different commitments. Different careers, different paths. And although the love was still there, stronger than ever, sometimes love alone wasn't enough to keep two people walking the same road. The drive to the studio. The drive that morning felt longer than usual. Kelly stared out the window, watching the city she had grown up in, built a life in, laughed in, cried in, passed by like fragments of a movie she wasn't ready to leave behind. Mark placed his hand gently over hers, their fingers locking instinctively. "This doesn't change us," he said. Kelly kept her eyes fixed on the passing buildings. "Maybe not, but it changes everything around us." Silence settled between them again, not uncomfortable, but heartbreaking. They both knew the truth. This was the last day they would walk into the studio together. The last day they would sit side by side before millions of viewers. The last day they would share the stage that had become a second home. Mark squeezed her hand. "We will be fine." Kelly nodded, even though her heart was already splintering. Backstage, a storm of emotions. As soon as they walked inside, the crew members sensed something was different. The usual bright energy that followed Kelly and Mark felt dimmed, heavy with unspoken emotion. "Good morning," someone called cheerfully. Kelly forced a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "Morning." Mark greeted everyone warmly, but his eyes never drifted far from Kelly. The director approached with a gentle expression. "You sure you want to do this live?" Kelly inhaled sharply. "It has to be live. Our viewers deserve honesty." She walked to her dressing room, closing the door behind her. The second the latch clicked, she leaned against the mirror and let her breath shake, fighting back tears. Pictures lined the wall, years of memories. Mark making her laugh during rehearsals. Behind-the-scenes photos from vacations with their kids. Moments captured during holidays, anniversaries, silly bloopers. Every picture felt like a stab to the heart. She lifted the locket again and whispered to herself, "I can do this." But even she didn't believe it. The live show begins. When the cameras rolled, the world saw Kelly Ripa, the charismatic, glowing host they loved. She smiled through the pain, introduced the segments, and laughed at moments that no longer felt funny. Mark, seated beside her, kept a calm, warm presence, yet every now and then his eyes drifted toward her with a heartbreaking tenderness. Finally, just before the final segment, the screen behind them went dark. The studio fell silent. Kelly exhaled shakily. This was it. "This next part," Kelly began, her voice trembling as she looked into the camera, "is something I never thought I would have to say." The audience, both in the studio and watching across the country, quieted instantly. Mark reached for her hand under the table. She gripped it tightly. Kelly took another breath, but her voice cracked as she continued. Today is Mark's last day with us on the show. A ripple of shock moved through the live audience. Kelly tried to speak, but tears filled her eyes faster than she could blink them away. He's been my partner on screen, she said, pausing as her lip quivered, and my partner in life for more than half of my life. And saying goodbye to him here feels like saying goodbye to a piece of myself. Her voice broke completely. She pressed a hand over her mouth, unable to continue. The camera zoomed in slowly, capturing the raw, unfiltered heartbreak. Mark gently placed his arm around her, pulling her close. Hey, I'm not going anywhere, he whispered softly for her, though the microphone still caught it. Kelly shook her head, tears streaming freely now. Not here, she whispered. Not next to me, not every day. The studio audience wiped tears. The crew members stood frozen, watching two people who had shared their love with the world struggle through one of the hardest moments of their lives. Mark's speech. Mark turned to face the camera. I want everyone to know, he said gently, that this decision wasn't easy. And it doesn't come from a place of conflict or pain. It comes from life, from responsibilities, from chasing dreams we both have. He squeezed Kelly's shoulder. Kelly is my heart, my soulmate, my home, and nothing will ever change that. Kelly dissolved into another wave of tears, burying her face against him. But sometimes, Mark continued, voice firm yet emotional, loving someone also means letting them shine without you in the frame, and letting yourself step into a new chapter. He looked at Kelly again, eyes glassy. I will always be cheering for you, always. The final goodbye. For the closing moments, they stood in front of the audience, hand in hand. Kelly wiped her tears, trying to steady herself. I don't know how to do this show without you, she whispered truthfully. Mark brushed a tear from her cheek. Yes, you do. You've always known how. I just got lucky enough to be next to you for this part of the journey. She let out a fragile laugh through her tears. The audience rose in a standing ovation, long, emotional, heartfelt. Kelly turned to face Mark one last time. I love you, she said, voice breaking. Mark's eyes filled. I love you more. They shared an embrace that lasted longer than the cameras were supposed to allow. But no one cut them off. When they finally pulled apart, Kelly placed her hand over his heart. Goodbye, at least for now. Mark kissed her forehead. Never goodbye. Just see you soon. After the cameras stopped. When the broadcast ended, Kelly collapsed into Mark's arms backstage, sobbing into his chest as if her whole world had shattered. He held her tightly, steady, strong, silent. Mark, I don't know how to let you go, she cried. He rested his forehead against hers. Then don't. We're not ending anything. We're adapting. Our love is stronger than any distance. But even with those words, the pain didn't fade. Some goodbyes break you not because they end something, but because they change something forever. The final moment. As Mark walked out of the studio for the last time, he turned back once more to look at Kelly. She stood at the doorway, tears still glistening on her cheeks, but her expression soft, brave, full of love. He lifted his hand in a small wave. She lifted hers back. And with that, Mark stepped into his new chapter. And Kelly stepped into a world that suddenly felt a lot emptier. But even through the heartbreak, one truth remained. Their love had not ended. It had simply learned a new way to exist. Stay tuned for all the updates about Kelly Ripa. We are the first to publish all the information about Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos, so stay with us to get all the latest updates. And stay tuned to our Kelly and Mark report for all updates.